Hi, everybody. Al Bernstein here with another one of our quick hits, part of our boxing hangout series. And on this particular edition, we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of boxers who are returning to the sport of boxing after considerable time away from the sport. And I believe that in both cases, it's very good for boxing that they're coming back. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, I want to call attention to my garb today. You can see I've got my Roots of Fight sweatshirt on that I bought over at the Las Vegas Fight Shop, and they have this series of shirts that our man Dan Parks, who is the producer of the Hangouts, always wears. And Dan, they have a great line of clothes, and it was fun to go over to a Las Vegas Fight Shop and get this.
Al, that is absolutely one of my favorite stops. Every time I go to Vegas, that's one of the first places that I go to find out what the newest gear is. As you know, I'm constantly wearing all of their stuff. This week, I did pull out a little Conor McGregor, and for those of you who are also UFC fans, you know why. But I'll tell you what, that place is unbelievable. And like I said, as you guys know, I always wear all my Roots of Fight gear, which is my favorite stuff ever.
Yeah, it really is good. Conor McGregor, the king of smack talk, huh?
He was amazing this week. Snatched the belt right from his hand. Wow, that was crazy.
Well, I'm trying to follow in your footsteps with my garb to be more colorful. And it is a great line of clothing they have. Let's talk now about the topic of the day, and that is a couple of fighters who are coming back to the sport who have had long layoffs. Of course, there is Andre Ward, who will be returning on June 20th, and Julio César Chávez Jr., who will be returning very, very soon on April 18th as he takes on Andre Fonfara. Let's talk about Andre Ward first. This young man, of course, regarded as the best super middleweight in the world at 168 pounds, has been off since November of 2013, a combination of injuries, disputes that he had with Goose and Tudor Promotions, has since moved on. Well, he's going to fight he's going to fight at the Oracle Arena in Oakland, where he's giving his fans, he says, kind of a thank you for this long delay, and wanted to come home and fight in Oakland. Part of the story is this, that Andre Ward signed with Rock Nation. It's Jay-Z, the famous music impresario who runs Rock Nation. The fight will not be on HBO. Could it be on BET? That's possible, or some other outlet. But the fight will be shown in the United States on television, but just not on HBO. And an opponent, as of now, has yet been named. Now, Andre Ward, it's no secret that I have great respect and admiration for Andre Ward, both inside and outside the ring. And I think Andre would be the first one to tell you that this long layoff and everything that has gone with it has slowed his express down. It has really, I think, created kind of a stall. But at age 31, there is absolutely no reason to think that he won't get it going again. And I believe that it's important for him to be back into the boxing world, as it is with the other gentleman we're going to talk about in a moment or so, Julio César Chávez Jr. For Andre Ward, he is one of the top 3 or 4 pound-for-pound fighters in the world today. And if you have somebody of that skill set, you don't want them out of action. And I think it's good for all of boxing that he's back on June 20th. Also returning to the ring will be Julio César Chávez Jr., who takes on a very tough fighter in Andre Fonfara on April 18th in Carson, California, at the StubHub Center. And I'll be on hand there to call that fight for Showtime. And Chávez Jr. is coming back after a year layoff. He's been out of the ring for a full year. He, like Andre Ward, had promotional difficulties and bolted from Top Rank Boxing, Bob Arum's company, to go with Al Heyman and his group. And during the course of all that, of course, he was out of action, and that was a very acrimonious split that finally got adjudicated, apparently, and April 18th we'll see him back in the ring. Now, the fight that he chose, and the man he chose to fight, Andre Fonfara, is a real dangerous man. Chavez Jr. is fighting at light heavyweight. He's normally a 168-pounder. And Fonfara gave Adonis Stevenson quite a tussle when they fought. Had Stevenson down and hurt later in the fight, and there was a feeling that Fonfara could have won that fight. So here's Chavez Jr. coming back at a weight he is not familiar at fighting with, though he wants to be back at 168 against a full-fledged light heavyweight. Now, to help him do that, he's brought on board a gentleman that I am very familiar with. He is, in fact, the brother of the recently departed Dan Goossen, who was very much involved in Andre Ward's career, and that is Joe Goossen. Joe is one of the best trainers in boxing. Julio César Chávez Jr. has had a couple trainers, has he not, during the course of his career, among them Freddie Roach and others as well. And one of the reasons why I think at the end of the day, Joe Goossen and he may be a very good fit, and I've heard reports from their camp, from a lot of people that have been doing video and been observing, that the meshing of these two is working, is that Chavez Jr. understands the nature of things now, that his lapses in training in recent years have put him behind the 8 ball. And if he continues to do that, he could send himself right out of the sport with that lack of effort. Joe Goossen is the kind of trainer who, while he's a taskmaster, mixes into it a kind of fun frivolity that makes fighters like Chavez Jr. kind of want to embrace the process. And I think that combination could be really an interesting one, and appears to be so far. Now, we'll find out for sure on April 18th when Chavez Jr. steps in the ring. But I think it might be a collaboration that could very well work. Having, to me, the similarities between Chavez Jr. and Andre Ward are striking. They're both at 168. They both had problems with their promoters. They've both had long layoffs. They're both fighters who probably in the last couple of years have taken, some hits for different reasons. They're certainly not the same as people. Very different in their approach to life and how they approach their craft. But both of these men, in my opinion, need to be back in the sport, because boxing, which is now in the midst of a renaissance, needs all its weapons firing on all cylinders. And these are two of the foremost weapons, if you will, in quotes, of boxing in its quest to bring the sport back to a higher place, especially in America, in terms of its consciousness. And so I think it's very good that Julio César Chávez is back on April 18th and Andre Ward is back on June 20th. Now, a quick word about that April 18th fight. I referenced Fonfara and what he brings to the table in terms of being a true full-fledged light heavyweight. If Julio César Chávez can do better against Fonfara than Adonis Stevenson did, just from a purely PR and marketing perspective, it will be a very big statement on his part. And then if he can get down to 168 again, which is a key thing with him because he's had weight issues, it's going to put him in a position to get a very big fight. Of course, Carl Froch and Andre Ward, among others, are out there. There's a number of fighters that he could get in against. Gennady Golovkin was talking about fighting Chavez Jr. when they had difficulties in negotiations because Chavez Jr. was changing promoters. So there will be great opportunities available if Chavez Jr. can get the job done. Fonfara is a very sound fighter who has a great chin, as Chavez Jr. does, and also hits with some authority. So we will see two icons of the ring back in action, and I say, bravo, good for the sport.